Good day, grade 10s. Welcome to the next lesson of IT. Today we're going to look at uses statements. Okay, now this is basically an alternative to using lots of if statements. So we can use if statements in this, but this is like a bit of a shortcut or trick to use, especially if we have to use a lot of if statements. Now let's say, for example, we needed to know if, for example, I num equaled a certain number, but not just one number. It could be multiple numbers. So it could be 10, for example. But it could also be I num could equal possibly 20 or 30. So basically we want to know if it's any of the tens, and so on and so on. But writing this again and again and again can get quite long and tiring. So a shortcut we can do is something like this. We write if I num, and instead of equals we write in, and then in a square bracket we write all the possible things that we want it to be. So example 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, etc. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at 50 for now, let's just say. And then what will happen is this will be executed if inum is either 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. As long as inum is one of those numbers, it will execute. So instead of writing if it equals 10, or if it equals 20, or if it equals 30, or if it equals 40, it's just a shorter way to write it. Okay, you can even go further with this. If the numbers are sequential, for example, we could write something like this: 1.10. Then it would be any number that falls between 1 and 10. Please note there are two dots between here. That means between the two of them. So that means if I num is 1, or I num is 2, or I num is 3, or I num is 4, or I num is 5, if I num is 6, etc. Okay, obviously this would only work if we have what we call ordinal values. Ordinal values are values that come one after another, like numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So your integers. You can also use this with characters. So for example, I could say if C letter, remember C will be a character, and then I could say A dot F. Then it would be all letters between A and F. So A, B, C, D, E, and F. Okay. Obviously this doesn't work with words, so full strings, because what word comes after cat? There's no specific word that comes after cat. The same as it wouldn't work with reals, because real is not an ordinal type either, because what comes after 1.1? Some of you may say 1.2, but what about 1.19? What about 1.10001? There's an infinite number between them, so we can never use this for real or strings. We can only use this for integers or characters, because they have what we call an ordinal value. It means we know exactly what comes after them. Okay. You could even do a combination of these things. So for example, I could say if I num is in, let's say, 1.10, then I can do a comma and I can say 15, then I can do another comma and then I can say 20 to 30, then I can do another comma and I can say 25, sorry, not 25, let's make it 35 and 45. Then basically it would check if inum is either 1 to 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 15, or 20 to 30, so 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, or 35, or 40. So you can use a combination of these commas or the dots between them. Okay, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Okay, now let's actually see an example of this in action. So I'm going to open up a program that I'm going to attach to this called Vowel. And I know it's a very simple program, but we're just going to test it. Basically, I want the user to write in a letter, and then we're going to check if that letter is a vowel. Very, very simple program. It's just so we can test out the uses if this actually ever decides to open. Let's just give it a few 7 hours, maybe then it will open. Of course, it is being as slow as possible, and it's trying to open up twice. Okay, let's close this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here you can see I've just got a simple edit, which decided to expand, a button to check if it's a vowel, and a panel. Okay, so let's do this together. Okay, you're welcome to pause the video and try now yourself. So you're welcome to pause the video and try and work this out yourself if you can. So pause now and give it a try. Okay, if you tried it now, we'll go through it together. If you tried and you see you're getting it wrong, I'll give you another chance to pause it and try it again. So first, let's get the letter. So let's get our input. So we're going to create a variable. I'm going to call it C letter, and it's going to be of the type char because I only want one letter, not a full string. Okay, so I'm creating C letter, and I'm assigning it to char. Some of you might have done it as an S string. It might still work. Okay, but I'm going to be safer and make sure it's only C letter. Then how do I fill up C letter? I'm just going to say edt letter dot text. But what if the user writes more than one letter? That's why afterwards I'm just going to put it in square brackets 1. That way, no matter, even if they write a full word, it will only take the first letter. So even if they do write more than one letter, I'm only going to look at the first letter. Okay, so even if the user doesn't read instructions properly, it will still work. Okay, now the long way of doing this is if C letter equals A, say it's a vowel, and or C letter equals E, and so on and so forth. And I do this with all the letters, but the usage way to do it, so the short way is just to say if C letter in, and then in square brackets I'm going to put A, E, I, O, and U, which is much better. However, there is still the issue of, remember, small letters and capital letters are different. So what if your user puts in capital letters? Well, I could do after this then capital A, capital E, so that would also work. But a better solution is to use the upcases. Okay, so if you don't know how to, if you want to try pause the video now and solve this with upcases, let's see if you can. So try pause the video now and see if you can't do the upcases part yourself. Okay, if you couldn't, let me show you. All I would do is I would upcase C letter. I'm using upcase because it's only one letter. I could theoretically use uppercase as well, but I'm just going to use upcase, and then all of these are going to be set to uppercase. So I don't even need to check the small letters now, because even if the user put in a small letter, I'll automatically change it to uppercase and check it against it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, if it is this, then in my panel, so under panel display, I am going to display what I want to, which is C letter. So I'm going to display the letter itself, plus, and I'm going to say is a vowel. Okay, and then under my else statement, so if it's not a vowel, then I'm going to just write that it is not a vowel. Okay, is not a vowel, because if it's not in here, it must not be a vowel. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, so I'll start with A. A is a vowel, perfect. Let's try B. B is not a vowel. I can put in the whole word. It's just looking at the first letter. DSF is not a vowel. Let's try with capital letters. D is not a vowel. A is a vowel. I is a vowel. Y is not a vowel. Okay, so it does these. So this isn't something we couldn't do without the uses, the in, but this just made it a lot faster than having to say if C letter equals A, or if C letter equals I, or if C letter equals O, and so forth and so on. Okay, so this is just a faster way when you have to do something similar to multiple if statements. Okay, so that is the end of this lesson. This is a very quick one, that's why we're going to do this in one day, and then I will see you guys for the next lesson. Bye.